Some of you may or may not know, but I love me some coffee. Nothing feels as good as heading to my favourite coffee shop, ordering my favourite bevy, and sipping away to my heart's content. It goes without saying that when I was contacted by Numbskull Games and asked if I wanted a copy of Coffee Talk 2-in-1 Double Pack Edition to review, I just about jumped at the chance. This double pack edition, which I lovingly call the Double Shot Edition, contains Coffee Talk and Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. I took my time playing both of these games to make sure that I had enough to say and enough to provide you lovely people with my honest opinions. So let's get started with Coffee Talk. Welcome to Seattle, but not the city you may know. In this game, you play as the barista and owner of a nighttime coffee shop called Coffee Talk, set in a reality where fantastical creatures like orcs, elves, werewolves, vampires, and more call Seattle home. Throughout the game, you play host to your customers, indulge in their stories, whilst making sure you get their drinks orders right in the process. The entire game is essentially a charming and touching visual novel come conversation simulator set to cozy vibes, personal storylines with a lo-fi soundtrack and 90s pixel art style. Speaking of the art style, I'm a huge softie for pixel art. The game's pixel art style creates a cozy and nostalgic atmosphere, making you feel like you're sitting in a warm cafe with a cup of coffee in hand. The detailed and intricate pixel art style adds to the overall charm of the game, with every corner of the coffee shop filled with the small and delightful details that contribute to the immersive experience. Whilst playing through the game, I couldn't help but feel reminiscent of 90s point-and-click video games I grew up with, the Sabrina the Teenage Witch one above all else. The music has been a huge win for me, even going as far as being my soundtrack during my day job. The lo-fi beats have been a perfect way to lower my stress levels and keep me focused in and out of the game. The background music is soothing and perfectly complements the relaxing ambience of the game, creating a sense of calm and focus as you engage with the characters and their stories. One of the highlights of Coffee Talk is the engaging and heartfelt conversations you have with the customers. The writing is top-notch with the well-crafted dialogue that feels natural and authentic. I couldn't help but notice the range of obstacles and struggles each character would be going through though. From a couple questioning the relationship due to parental disapproval based on race, a struggling writer trying to overcome burnout whilst writing their first novel, to an alien who is just trying to get lucky. As the customers share their thoughts and problems, you have the opportunity to listen, empathize, and offer them the perfect beverage to lift their spirits or wind them down for the night. It's a perfect way to connect with the characters and understand their point of view. The quality of writing is absolutely superb though. Dialogue again is natural, which would often catch me off guard. I had to remember that I wasn't actually serving coffee in Seattle, but sitting on my sofa in the real world. I fully invested my time with each character, making friends and even disliking some. Long after completing the game, I often think about what each character is up to. As I mentioned before, Coffee Talk is primarily a visual novel, but there are some interactive elements to the game as well. The game itself spans over 14 days, and with each day welcoming you with local news, which are provoking but also meme-worthy, along with new and different customers visiting the cafe each day. With each customer, though, comes a new drinks order. Depending on how vague or specific the customer is, you must concoct a drink for them, making sure you have each ingredient in the correct order. I'll be honest, I got overexcited every time I got to make something that 9 times out of 10 I was messing up the order, even if I thought I had the correct ingredients. Once you have created a successful order though, you can refer back to the brew pad, an in-game app which stores all correct drinks you've made. This is incredibly useful if you're a little bit forgetful like me. Another nice feature of drinks making is the ability to make latte art. You have the freedom to make truly janky designs, phallic art, or something my higher art teacher would definitely call original. Another in-game app which comes in handy is Tomodachi, the game's social media app which unlocks more about each character you meet with every successful order you make. I personally don't refer back to this as much as Brewpad, but it's still cute nonetheless. However, it is worth noting that Coffee Talk is a relatively short game with only a few hours of gameplay. Clocking in at about 4.5 hours, you can extend the game a bit more by revisiting days to 100% complete it, or just to pop it into the ever-intriguing endless mode. While the game may leave you craving for more, the quality of the experience definitely makes up for it. The game manages to pack a lot of emotional depth and storytelling into its concise runtime, leaving a lasting impression on the player. I know for a fact it definitely left a lasting impression on me. Another game featured in this double pack is Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. So, welcome back to Seattle, folks. This time set in 2023, 3 years after the previous game. Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly continues with the similar experiences and vibes of the original game, taking players back to our late-night coffee shop. As the barista, you can still find your fantastical pals, but you'll also find a few more characters who have yet to be introduced. Much like its predecessor, you dive back into the pixel art, flickering neon lights, and silhouettes of passers-by. The visuals alone are enough to make you feel like you've stepped into a cozy cafe, ready to hide away from the outside world and anxious to discover what kind of conversations are to be had. Speaking of conversations, Episode 2 continues to shine in its writing. The dialogue remains personable, natural, and certainly authentic. Characters old and new build from each other, bringing some new to the storyline, but also still echoing the game before it. As mentioned, some old characters turn up, which makes me even more excited as the game would go on. Who else was I going to be reunited with? Did Freya finish her book? Has Aqua finally finished developing her game? Did Neil get lucky? Probably not. Along with the familiar faces, we are greeted by some new ones straight off the bat. With this, there is a somewhat major feature added to the game, a drawer. Crazy, I know, but this threw me off. Let me make an example. Lucas, a satyr and social media influencer, decides to give you his business card in the shape of a fidget spinner to pass on to another customer. Me being me, I completely forgot I even had it when the opportunity arose. In the drawer, you can also place any items left behind by customers to give to others, which will then unlock more of their story arcs. I was absolutely awful, and I kept forgetting to give any of the items out. This included potentially some pretty damning evidence I forgot to give Georgie the policeman. I really hope I'm not going to prison now. To keep it brief, Episode 2 has expanded from Coffee Talk with very similar elements while still keeping it fresh. Saying that, I would recommend playing the first game before diving into this one, as there is a plot twist which may confuse you otherwise. Overall, I had an absolutely wonderful experience playing both games, and it has truly made me appreciate the time and care that is put into visual novels. I used to be an avid reader when I was younger, but with the recipe of zero focus, lack of time, and energy these days, I find it hard to sink my teeth into books and into these type of games. Coffee Talk 1 and 2 were a different experience though. I was really grateful that both games had the option of manual or auto mode during conversations, which meant I could enjoy the scene with a cuppa in hand. If I got sidetracked or missed something, I could always refer back to the chat history too, which also came in handy for drink orders. This game has brought back my love for reading, storytelling, and appreciating that not all games have to be high action or require the full use of my brain power. If you're looking for a cozy game to invest your heart and time into, or just to have on while you sip away at a hot tea or coffee, then I highly recommend getting both of these games. It's available to buy on multiple platforms, including the Nintendo Switch. Thanks again to Numbskull Games for sending me over a copy of this on the Switch. I can't wait to replay it and to discover more about each character. Now let us know in the comments below what your usual order is at your local coffee shop and whether or not you have played Coffee Talk or not. If you enjoyed the video, give it a little like, and why not get all cozy by subscribing to the channel. Thank you again so much for watching, and have a good one. Bye. There's nothing left in here.